Hey, welcome. You have found the Fourth Dimension podcast. What is this about? Who am I? Well, I can definitely answer those questions. My name is Milton J.Saenz, and this is the Fourth Dimension. What does that mean? Well, through this podcast is modeled after one of the greatest podcasters to ever live and ever will live, Joe Rogan. You might have heard of him, right? So what does that mean? Why him? And why did that inspire this podcast? Well, if you take a look at why he is successful, it's because he opens up his mind to different types of thoughts. And he's open to hear different kinds of ideas, and whether he agrees with them or not, he's open. That's it. That's pretty much what humanity should be. We should be open to what other people think, and we shouldn't close off what our ideas should be. We should be open. Again, we have to detach our persona from our ideas. Ideas are floating and they're ever changing. The same ideas that you had when you were 10 are far different than the ones that you have now at 20, at 30, at 40, at 50. So that's what we're going to do today. This is the Fourth Dimension. And with me today is none other than my brother from the same mother, J.Saenz. J.Saenz, how are you feeling?
Tired, man. I had a pretty long drive here, but we made it, and I'm glad to be here. I always like being in your presence, and that just comes from the heart. I feel like I've told you that time and time again, and I just appreciate your energy. I feel like our energy transfers very genuine, and that's how it should be with anybody that you connect, right? Because that's when you feel the most comfortable. So.
Yeah, so just to give you a little bit of context, it's 1:36 a.m. Saturday, November 5th, 2022. I don't know when this episode is going to air. This is, again, the very first episode. And, again, this is all trial and error. This may not be the best podcast you're going to listen to, but it's definitely going to be the most interesting. So, without further ado, let's get it started. How was the drive here?
Bad, man. I was fighting off tornadoes. I knew there was going to be a tornado because my friend Julian, he told me there's going to be a tornado. And I was like, that's all right, fuck it, I'm going to go anyway because we have this event we're going to tomorrow.
Right.
And I was like, I'm going to go. I just feel like I'm not going to say that I'm out of touch with reality, but in a sense, and I feel like a lot of humans think this way, they're like, that can't fucking happen to me. And then it happens, and that's why we're so fucking starstruck.
So you're talking about the tornadoes?
Yeah, it's like if there was a tornado, so what? What the fuck they gonna do to me? And I've seen it happen to people, and they get fucked up. Like, I think of a tornado. What's it gonna do? It's gonna pick me up. It's gonna twirl me around a little bit, fuck it, whatever. But I'm not thinking about those big ass fucking rocks and pieces of wood. That would fuck me up. If I walk right now and hit this cooler, I'm fucking done. My shit is done.
Yeah, so it's not the winds. I think that's where the misconception happens.
Yeah.
What the fuck is wind gonna do to me? No, it's the barbed wire. It's the sharp wood. It's the metal. It's the car that's going to hit you upside the head.
Also, if it picks you up and just slam, if I fall right now, if I trip right now and fall, oh shit, that hurt. If I get fucking picked up and body slam, goodbye, shoulder. And I got a metal shoulder, so.
What happened? I know what happened, but for our listeners, explain what happened. You're kind of a bionic artist.
Yeah, unfortunately. I think my first injury was, I think I was in 6th grade. We used to have a football field, and then beside the football field, there was like this little area where all these little kids would play football, and I was one of those little kids. And I was like, man, one day I'm going to play football, so let me fuck around, whatever. And there was this kid that he was a lot weaker than me. He was smaller. My mom would say I was a bully for this. And I guess I was, because my intentions were throw me the ball, I'm going to fuck him up. Mm-hmm. And every time I would get the ball, I fuck him up. He was way smaller than me. I was kind of fat. So no problem. Fuck him up. And then one time, there was a concrete sidewalk behind me, right? There was a concrete sidewalk behind me, and they were like kicking off towards me. So I caught the ball, this little skinny kid running up to me, and I'm just waiting on him because I want to be an asshole. And when he gets close to me, I'm like, I'm gonna fuck him up. And when I start running towards him, I don't know what happened. It was just my time. It was my time to get fucked up because I was being a bully. He grabbed me and he slung me around. It's like I ran him over, but with his momentum, he fell back, grabbed me, and kind of somehow 180'd me into the concrete and blah, done. I just felt that, and I was like, oh, fuck, I'm done. And I was more scared that my mom had told me not to go play that night because I was going to get fucking hurt. Damn it, she was right. But she says that every night, so the chances of it happening were 100%. there was no getting out of that. So anyway, and after I got fucked up, I was on the ground and I was crying and I was scared. And I had a few friends and they came up to me. They were like, "Oh my gosh, are you okay?" And I remember I showed them and I was like, I think I hurt myself. And you could see like a little ball sticking up. And they're like, "Oh fuck, whatever." And they were like, "What do we do?" They just fucking go to the other field and start playing football. They're like, "We're gonna fucking dip because we're gonna get in trouble."
I mean, you were a buzzkill. They didn't want to deal with that. They were kids too.
I would have left.
They were just as scared as you were.
Yeah, but if I was scared and I saw a friend hurt, I'd have been like, "Hey, help! Somebody help! Somebody!" And then I would have gone and played because at the end of the day, it's not your problem. That's another thing. People don't really care about shit that happens to you. I know this is like I don't want to get too deep, but people don't really.
Why not? Let's get deep.
I don't know. Maybe it's just something that I think. I feel like sometimes. Do you think in a person's just natural state, since we're born, do you think it's in our nature to care about somebody else in a way that we empathize with them, like we actually feel what they feel, or do we just more so sympathize, like kind of just graze over the feelings and we're like, yeah, I mean, I could understand, but they don't actually feel it? What do you think is the split between that?
I think the first thing that we feel is self-preservation because it makes sense. You are what's feeling the world around you, so you want to preserve that, right? Mm-hmm. That's in our biology. You have to continue. That's just kind of our mission. Just continue at all costs. Most people wake up and they might not want to go to work. They might not want to go work out. They might not want to talk to a certain person, right? But regardless, we keep doing it day in and day out, right? We don't question it. We just know we have to do it. So self-preservation is the first thing. Second is being empathetic. We have to look out for each other because we are a super organism. You know, humans. We're a collective group, and our mission is, as most other beings or most living things, we have to continue to procreate. Mm-hmm. As simple and as blunt as that might sound, that's kind of our goal. We make money, we work out, we do certain things, we learn. Why? To attract the mate and to procreate. You know, you have you always have the urge. You always have the urge to do that. So to put it into what you're asking, first, self-preservation, because without you, there's nothing else. There is no two. There is no number two. There is no empathetic for anything else because you don't exist. So number one, self-preservation. Number two, you are empathetic because it furthers the genes, DNA.
Are you empathetic to a point where it will affect your daily living at all, or is it just kind of a thought that grazes you and then you're like, I feel that, and then you let it go?
I think in the current state of our culture and I'm getting to that. But this is what I think, and this is how it affects me and everyone else around me in the current state that we're at. Repeat the question. I kind of lost track of what the question was exactly.
That when you feel like empathy towards somebody, do you feel like it affects your daily living? We'll say like you see.
Okay, yeah. Then yes, it definitely does. And this is something that has been bothering me for quite some time, and I know I have to fight that urge to help someone in need. Because I feel like I am super empathetic to a lot of people, and I have to reason it out and kind of weigh the options out as far as like, what's this ultimately, can this harm me? You know, if I go up to someone and they harm me in any way or something, anything can happen at that time. I have to weigh the options, right? But anytime I do see something that that I do have to address, or something so simple as picking someone up. Let's say someone falls and I see it. Like, you have the urge to, hey, it's that simple. Walk over, pick them up, right? But it may not be in your best interest. You may be in traffic or anything, any sort of scenario. You're still gonna have that feeling. And if you didn't do it and you continue your day in your life, me personally, I'm gonna think about that action that I didn't do for the rest of the day, or even for weeks, or even for years. I'll think about that moment again, and I think that's most people.
I don't know, because
how does it affect? Do you think it affects you?
Oh man, tremendously. I feel like the smallest things do. Like, I'll think about it. It doesn't even have to be with people. It'll be like something like we spoke about some other time. Like, if I drop a piece of trash or something, I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna leave. And I'm like, damn, no. I'm gonna think about that later. I'm gonna be like, what if a bird ate it? And I'm like, I would feel bad. Would it like affect me further? I don't know, but I would feel bad in the moment.
Right. So why do you think that happens? Why do you think ahead? As the human creature, we're gonna call it the human creature, the human being, whatever. Right. The human experience is far different than the animal experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think we think in a future state of mind? I think animals live in the moment, right? Mm-hmm. They truly live in the moment. I'm eating now. Danger, run. But us, what you just said, I leave this paper, bird is going to eat it, they're going to die here. We think of what's ahead, right? Why do you think that happens? And for what reason? How does that benefit us? Because everything that we do and the way that we think is to benefit us, right? It's evolution. So again, my opinion, but why do you think that happens?
I think there's a few reasons. The first, I feel like you were kind of hinting at, like, there's a reason. It's like a survival thing that we do. It's a trial and error thing. Like, if I do this, something's going to happen. That's not, we wouldn't say is positive. You know what I'm saying? So the first thing is like a trial and error thing. Some of the things aren't even like if a bird eats it, you know what I'm saying? That's not something that was a trial and error thing, but it's also some kind of conditioning. I feel like as a society, we're kind of programmed to think about the future a lot more than living in the present. And I feel like that's what kind of fucks people up a lot, like, especially in social media. A lot of the shit that I see, like, that's programmed on my algorithm is because I like to learn about, like, some financing type stuff or, like, music type stuff. And very seldom do I see, and it's because I don't, like, encapsulate myself in that realm of, like, live in the now and this, that, whatever, because in a way, like, I do want to think about my future, but the way that we're conditioned to think about it, it's like, I don't know, I feel like it affects me in my everyday living, because it's like, think about what you can have, think about what you're doing right now it's gonna be important in 5 or 10 years, and that's how I'm programmed right now to think. If I'm like, and it is true, because like every little action that you take is gonna lead up to what you are in the future. Like any little thing, like if I drink this shit right now, is it gonna change it? Maybe. Like it doesn't have to be drastic things. It can be like a book that I read that's hella popular, Atomic Habits. Like the smallest things are going to compound into the biggest thing. And I feel like that is kind of just leaking into other aspects of my life like that. Just thinking about the future, about future things, especially future consequences. Because when you think about little things that you can do right now to better yourself in the future, you're thinking about positive things that you can do right now. You're never like, what's a negative thing I can do that's going to make me better? Because it just fucking doesn't. So in a way, we're trying to stay away from negative things in that aspect. And I don't know. I just feel like it comes from that conditioning, and then just like a natural human instinct of survival, even if it doesn't have to do with direct survival. You know what I'm saying? It could just be like, I want that fucking bird to choke.
Good way to end that.
How about you? What do you think?
It's exactly what you said. Most of the things that I think about come down to a very primal type of understanding of things, and I see us as no different than an animal, but still in the same realm. We live in the same plane of existence.
Right.
We all share this planet together, right? So a lot of the things that we do are very, very similar to what animals already do. You know, when I talked about the reason that we do certain things, we want money, we want this, we want that, is to attract a partner because
Right.
we want to procreate because that's in our biology. And some of the things that we've seen, for example, we see some of these animal shows and we see the mating rituals of the birds, right? You remember the 3 birds hopping over each other, helping each other out.
Yeah.
To what extent? To mate.
They were winging for the boy. They were
the
wingmen.
the best wingmen, pun
Yeah.
intended.
That's a bar.
But you know, that it all comes down to that. You look at any sort of animal, they all do the same things in their own manner. In the same way that we have different cultures on Earth, they all kind of do something weird to the other perspective of the other culture.
Mhm.
But essentially, they're all doing the same thing in a different manner.
What do you think people in America do that like
That's
another
weird?
culture would be like, in the sense of like, we'll say mating, since we're kind of like on that, or
Sure.
were you not really touching on that subject? You're talking about in general.
No, I am talking in general, but that's something that we can get into. I guess different mating. For example, it goes anywhere from like a Mormon to a Christian, right? And that's in the same country. So a Mormon can actually have several different wives.
What you think about that?
I think you should be able to do whatever you want if you're not harming anybody. If you're not harming anybody,
What if you're hurting her feelings?
that's on her. That's on her.
Is it?
If her feelings are hurt, she feels a certain way. And again, this is in the Mormon religion, which again, we look at different religions and we think of the negative things that we think are negative. For example, the hijab, right?
Mm.
We think, oh, they're under this patriarchy, under the rule of this. They have them submitted, right? But if you actually ask any of them or the majority of them, they like to wear it. Not only is it a cultural thing, it's a fashion thing too. They
It's
love to wear
fire.
it. I like it too.
I would wear one. It's fire. Wait, but okay, you said you think you should be able to do what you want, have multiple wives, and
Again.
I said
Without harming another person.
harming physically or emotionally.
Both.
What if you harm them emotionally? You say it's her fault, but if you're an empathetic person, aren't you going to feel like fuck?
Yeah, it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. Even in our own culture, in the Christian dominant U.S., there's always going to be that. Anywhere you look in the world, it's always going to be that. There's always going to be that struggle, right? And in our current state of being in 2022 around the world, we still have some of the most barbaric cultures that have ever existed or have always existed. We're just now coming out of that dark era, if you want to call it, from our perspective. But again, there's always going to be conflict. There's conflict with if we're talking about male dominant, you know, because it sounds like you're specifically mentioning females, right? Even when it's the same sex marriage or relationship, that is always there. There is always a yin and a yang, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's always one dominant, there's always a struggle. There's always going to be a struggle. That's how you advance. You have to have struggle. So that's non-negotiable. It's always going to be there. So it's never going to be perfect.
What if there wasn't? What if we didn't have to struggle? I had a friend that sent me a TikTok today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was just jokes, but I was like,
What was it?
It was this guy and this other guy, like, you know how you could duet somebody?
Yeah.
And he was just, he was like, all right, hear me out. He was like, what if, he was like, we got married man to man. And then the other dude duetting him. He's like, hey, hold on now, motherfucker. And then he's like, wait, hear me out. He's like, okay. And he's like, look, you could date however many women you want. You can go out with them. He's like, okay. And then he's like, we would live together. He was like, we would have like twice double the income. We would have this, that. Like, I'm not gonna get mad at the women you go out with because I'm straight. He was like, you can go out with you can bring whoever you want. We could like get a house that like splits into two. He was like, we'd just be like best friends. He was like, you want to get a boat? You got a boat? We can go in your boat. And then the other dude's doing it. He's like, I don't got a boat. And while he's saying that, the other dude's like, if you don't have a boat, we can buy a boat. He's like, well damn, that sounds good. He's like, that sounds good. And I'm like, what if you don't have to struggle?
This isn't the first time that I've heard this. The first person that I've heard of this is me. I brought this up. All right. I'm gonna say it right here,
The
right
creator.
now.
Millie, the creator.
I've said this before. But that just goes against everything that I just said at the beginning of this podcast, which is to procreate. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. We'd have to completely flip our culture and our way of life on its head.
Why?
Because it's counterproductive.
You could still procreate.
Yes,
You
sure.
could actually like triple it.
Sure, but even in a traditional sense, it's so hard to keep everything in agreement as much as you can. There's always going to be conflict, like I just mentioned, right? But it's already so hard to maintain just the traditional form of a relationship. Now imagine you're living with your best buddy, you're married to your best buddy, and then you go to your wife out there and you do, what you usually do. It would just be so complicated. There would be, again, you're dealing with human nature. Just because this is a good idea doesn't mean we're going to recalibrate to this new way of life. We're still going to have the same basic human bullshit that we usually have. There's going to be love triangles, love squares, love polygons. It's never going to stop. So it's a great idea in theory, but once you add the human nature and all the messiness that comes with it,
what do you subtract all that bullshit?
Mm-hmm.
Would you do it?
At this, yeah, if we're subtracting reality, of course. But this is real life.
Who'd you marry?
Huh?
Who'd you marry?
I don't know.
Nobody comes to
Nobody
mind?
comes to mind.
Damn.
What about you?
Yeah.
Yeah, what?
Somebody comes to mind.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You gonna say it?
Yeah, probably Julian.
Julian who? I don't think our audience knows this.
I don't want to put him on the spot like that.
Ramirez?
I mean, I know if he saw that, he would laugh.
He will see this. Julian Ramirez?
Because the friend I brought up that sent it to me was Julian.
Again, he's got a point, but I don't think he thought the extra shit.
Well, yeah. I mean, Julian thinks something's funny, he's going to send it. I mean, it was just funny,
It sounds like you're considering it.
I thought about it. I mean, I didn't think about it to where like, hey, I should do that. But I was like, what if?
What if?
What if?
But it's just a what if.
Yeah, because then I'm kind of sensitive to.
Y'all might fight even more than a female would, because when you look at, again, the same sex marriage or relationships, the people that fight the most are two females. They're most reported for domestic violence. So ideally, like, two girls, they should get along, right? No,
All right. Well, what about two guys?
Who knows? Have you ever had a roommate?
Yeah, plenty.
How did that go?
I've had multiple. Let me see. The first one, he's a piece of shit.
What's his name?
Nah.
Not even worth mentioning. Okay, second one.
Well, this was like a co one. Vic.
Okay.
He was living with us in an apartment, like fucking. It was tiny. He was sleeping in the living room.
Right. And he was paying rent just like you?
Yeah, we were splitting it 3 ways. At first, our initial roommate, it was just me and another roommate, and then he was like, hey, there's another dude that wants to move in with us. I'm like, fuck no, bro. We don't even got space. Us.
Right.
And then he's like, well, he's a good dude, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, where the fuck is he going to stay? He was like, he's going to stay in the living room. I was like, no, fuck him. I don't care. And he was like, he needs a place to stay. I was like, I don't give a fuck. And then he was like, and then I thought about it overnight. I didn't really want to think about it, but I was thinking about it. And I was like, there's not a lot of people that would stay in a living room as small as that. And it was shitty. The apartment, so I was like, you know what? I was fucking broke. And I was like, this would help. So we let him. He moved in, and he was like, hey, my name's Vic. Blah, blah. The first few days, we were bullshitting already. And we like got this mutual hate for the original roommate's dog because he was fucking annoying.
His dog?
His dog.
What kind of dog was it?
Mutt.
Just a mutt? What color was it?
Damn, let me think.
Brown?
He was like black and brown.
Black and brown. Medium? Large?
He was
small?
medium at that point. he was just a regular puppy, really. But I was fucking broke. I was going to school.
It was just stressing you out.
It was just like, bro, get the fuck away from me.
So-
And I like dogs now. I feel like a lot of people, there's a huge misconception when I like talk some shit about some dogs or like a certain scenario. I feel like now when you talk anything negatively about an animal, people get fucking defensive about it, and it's weird because people talk about people and they won't bat an eye. They'll be like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. She's a bitch. Or yeah, fuck him. But then you say something about a dog, like I'm like, bro, fuck that dog. They're like, oh, you fucking piece of shit. And I'm like, no, because I love Lila Bug. I love Koopy. I love when I see a dog.
For the audience that doesn't know what you're talking about, explain that, please.
Koopy's my mom's dog, and Lila's my mom's dog, and they're both tiny, and they're good. They're good dogs, except Koopy. He's a little motherfucker. He fucked my door up. But anyway, I like dogs, and like when I see a dog, you know, I was never like that person because I have a friend, my friend Colton. He's like this, and I was curious as to why he was like this. Because we went to Colorado one time, and every time he saw a dog, he would go up to it, and he would be like, "Oh, puppy, puppy," and he's a big dude, so just like seeing him like get all mushy gushy, I was like, "Hey, Colton, come on, bro, let's go." And then I would think about that, and I'm like, why does he like, you know? It was just kind of interesting to me to see that because I didn't feel that way about a dog. I'd see a dog, and I was like, "Man, what's up?" And we keep walking, and now I feel like when I see a dog, I kind of want to do the same, not to the same extent, but I want to like touch it and I want to like feel like the warmth of it. And it just brings like a pleasure factor. That's why they have it in hospitals and stuff. You know, it increases like endorphins. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I get that effect now, and it's probably because my mom got Koopy or Lila, and it makes me feel closer. It was probably because we fucking switch animals, like 4 animals a year. So we're just like, grow attached to them. Nah. They die. They die, or my mom fucking gives them away to somebody. And we're just like, damn, bro, all right, what's our next one? A snake? Yeah, fuck it. A rabbit, a dog, a donkey, an ox. We're going to shoot it with little pellets. But anyway, damn, where was I going with that?
I think you were going with the fact that, again,
I fuck with animals. That's where I'm getting at.
You fuck with animals, but I think you were trying to get at the point that talking about different things that different cultures do that other cultures might find weird is the weird infatuation with canines in the U.S. Canines and cats, but overall dogs are just superior. They're superior because they don't have the attitude or the
That's just not cute either. Like, I know cat people get just
because dogs are
offended.
just full. They're just full of love, and all they want is your attention, right?
Yeah.
And for some reason, it's propagated throughout North America. I'm not gonna say just the U.S. because I know it's in Canada, I know it's in Mexico, I know it's in South America. Maybe not so much in the Eastern, Russia. Well, not that I have seen, but I've never seen them be so infatuated with dogs themselves, right? Or even Asia,
like anywhere else.
The Eastern, like Europe and Eurasia, Asia.
What they like? They like cats more. I feel like Europe.
I really don't know. I haven't really got a feel for them. But here in the U.S., fuck. If you were holding a dog by the paw and a human by the paw over the Golden Gate Bridge, and you could only choose one, the answer is obvious. Yeah. Come here, Fido. Bye, John.
Yeah, that's absurd to me. It's and
let me interject real quick. A lot of the listeners that are listening right now, they are thinking we are crazy for not agreeing with them and thinking that dogs are fucking angels, which they are. Don't get me wrong. They're full of love. That's the definition of an angel. However, calm down. Calm down. It's weird. I understand the love, but it's a little much sometimes.
I agree. I feel like a lot of people like to make it, and these are the people that get mad at just this whole combo or this statement, or just the people that they need to be like, hey, do I really love that dog?
And guess what?
I'm playing.
No, and guess what? They love that dog.
They love that dog. What I'm saying is
they would give their life.
A lot of people, I feel like, try to make it almost like a personality type. Like they're just like, ooh, I'm an animal lover. Yeah, but it doesn't have to go to the point where like you'll close off somebody's opinion of an animal because like you love it so much. Like I said, some dogs, like this happened the other day. I was at this gathering and there was a dog there and he stank. He stunk, you know, cute
How
dog.
bad? How bad?
Fucking terrible,
Like
honestly.
what would you compare it to?
Like, you know, when they're like, "Ooh, a wet dog smell."
Yeah.
Worse.
Worse.
It's like a wet dog smell that it's been sitting there for fucking days. And, you know, this dog was sick, so the owners were like kind of like worried for it, whatever. It came running out. Everybody's like, "Oh, the dog." I felt it too. Like I would like pet his back a little bit, but he brushed up against my hand when I was just sitting there like this. And you know, I like to smell things. So he brushed up against my hand and I felt something wet and I was like, fuck. And I had already smelled like he kind of stunk a little bit because the wind was hitting and he's a what is he? A
Great Dane?
golden poodle, labradoodle, something like that. They got curly hair.
Mhm.
So like they retain moisture when they get moisture.
Sure.
So he brushed up against my hand and the wind was blowing hard, so I was like smelling it. I was like, this dog kind of stinks. And I knew when he fucking brushed against my hand with his wet mouth, I was like, that's gonna fucking stink. So instinctively, I was like,
So before we lose any more listeners, I'm gonna have to switch up the conversation and the topic. So at the beginning of this podcast, and again, if you're listening thus far, we are 31 minutes in. We appreciate you for sticking around with the bullshit. I promise you, this is gonna be so much better. We're gonna bring back J.Saenz again and again, and it's only gonna progress to bigger and bigger heights, right? But I do want to remind you that I did introduce you as J.Saenz. Please tell the audience why I introduced you like that.
well, that's my artist name. I've been using that name since 2019 when I first dropped as my artist name, but I feel like now I'm kind of trying to transition into, because my real name's Jose, but I'm kind of trying to transition to where people call me Jay because I like it. A lot of my artist friends in Austin or anywhere else that they've listened to my music in California or New York, whatever, it like they call me Jay, and I feel like it's more comfortable. It's more fitting. There's no like stereotype behind it. I feel like there's a lot of stereotypes in a name, especially a common name like Jose. Like you hear Jose, you're like, who? Fuck him,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But now, like, they'll give it a chance. You know, hey, listen to my boy Jay's music is a little better than, hey, listen to my friend Jose's music. They're going to be like, all right, let me fucking hear it. Jay is like, they're going to be like, fuck them, let me hear it. You know, it's still the same. Like, they don't really want to hear it, but they'll give it more of a chance. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, I've been using J.Saenz since 2019, since I started dropping music. But I'm kind of letting it, like, gradually become, like, a name thing. That's what I like to be called. And you can be called whatever you want. People change their names all the time.
So you started in 2019. You ended up with J.Saenz. J.Saenz. What is the science part? Just so the
That's
audience
my
knows.
last name. That's my mother's maiden name.
Right.
Yeah.
So what other options did you have on the table before you came up to that decision?
Well, you gave me one, Pop-Tart. It wasn't really an option.
It wasn't an option, no. But when you thought about this on your own, what other options did you have?
J. Mora.
J. Mora.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, I had a few more. What did I have? J. Mora, J. I think J.Say was one of them.
J.Say, S-A-Y?
S-A-E.
S-A-E?
Yeah.
J.Say.
J.Say, like J.Saenz. And another one was like J. I was gonna say Jay-Z.
I think that's taken.
Yeah,
Jill.
not Jay-Z. Just Jay something, bro. But I don't finna be Jose.
Right.
You know, so that was it. J.Saenz sound cool, and I kind of like, I did model it after one of my all-time favorite rappers, J. Cole. I feel like now I still kind of model my music. I would say overall the realm of his is just like keeping it real type things, keep talking about stuff that happens in your life, just not capping about your rap like they do nowadays. That shit, to me, the only time I want to listen to that is when I'm drunk in the club.
Right.
You know, when I'm like, hey, fucking, I'm bitching, drinking.
Just ignorant
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. And that has a time and place
Sure.
for sure. But sometimes that's all people listen to. And I'm
Right.
like, how the fuck? Like, there's no substance to it.
Yeah, and I think that's an important thing that you just brought up because not only can you get unhealthy, get fat, get tired of eating bullshit, McDonald's, sodas, greasy foods, that's gonna make you feel like shit at the end of the day, right? Not only do you have a diet that you eat, but you have a diet that you consume through music, what you see, whether it's social media, television. That's also gonna give you that kind of result, right?
Mhm.
You're gonna get lazy, you're gonna get fat in a mental
Mhm.
kind of way, right? So if people all they listen to is da 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 money, drugs, bitches, right? That's all they're gonna think about ever. There's not gonna be a substance and there's not gonna be a variety of things that they do, right? So when you describe your style of music, what would you describe it as?
Um,
Because you mentioned that it's modeled after J. Cole.
I
Now that's just an influence. What is your specific sound and message?
I would say I would say the genre is more like my primary because I do a lot of genres. Would be like an alternative hip hop type rap. You know, some of it's kind of poppy, but I would say it's more like conscious rap because like a lot of my songs, like my favorite songs that I've written that are, I mean, I like them all, but my favorite songs is like where I'm really talking about something that I'm feeling at the time.
Right.
And my biggest song is the same thing, something that I was going through at the time, and it was just like people resonate with that kind of shit. And
Right.
when you're real, people know. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, there is people that make it by doing this rap cap shit, but it's not. I feel like it's kind of seldom now because like that's what puts a bad rap on the name of people that are like, hey, I rap or I make music, and people laugh at you because they think that's the bullshit that it is until they hear my stuff, and then it's like they're like, wow, this is pretty good, and I'm like, hey, fuck that, pretty good. This is good. Just say it's good. Like give people their props, and that's where I stand on that.
Right. So what through your songs, what kind of messages are throughout those songs? I know this sounds like a question that I just asked, but specifically think of three songs and what kind of message they do portray, because what you're saying is you put your feelings into the song, right? It's something that you're going through, something that you've been through, and this is something that you're actually feeling, and those are the best types of songs, right? Where you can feel the pain or even the joy they're one and the same. They're both
Mhm.
strong emotions. So of let's say three songs that come to your head, what kind of message and what kind of feeling come behind those?
I mean, like I said, my biggest song, X, is about social anxiety. I feel like it's still kind of something that I deal with now, and for some reason, more than maybe I used to. And I don't know why. I don't know really what it stems from. I feel like maybe it might be like a lack of uh, social contact with people
Hmm.
because I'm not around people a lot. So
You're saying this because you're constantly making music, or why?
that my job, I'm just not around people.
Right,
I don't really like to go out that much. I
right,
like to hang out with friends, but not like that much. And I'm not that guy that's like that's all I do. I'm in the fucking stew. I sleep in the stew. I eat in the stew. Like I'm not like that's just boring sometimes. And that's just how it is. Like I'm not having fun in there all the time. And I feel like people try to make it seem that way, like, hey, in the stew, in the stew, in the stew. Bro, go outside and touch grass. Like that shit is it's not really healthy. It's
right.
just like anything. Like if you like video games and shit, yeah, that's cool. But if you're a live streamer, like you gotta go outside and you gotta get in touch with reality because at the same time, you get so infatuated with doing that you kind of tie it into the type of lifestyle that people like you said are rapping about or living, and then you kind of get caught in that complex of like you are that, which can be a good thing because like it helps you kind of manifest it, get your confidence up, this, that, whatever.
If it's a positive message,
Correct. But if it kind of makes you lose touch of reality a little bit, you kind of lose your way a little. But anyway, I think it's just because I'm not around people a lot. But anyway, going back again, that song was about social anxiety, and I wrote it like that. Just wrote about how like when you say you're anxious and stuff, people kind of they overlook it because it's like a very common thing now that people are they're just like I'm anxious, and they can be have just a normal healthy amount of nervousness before something in a social setting like me or whatever. But anxiety is like it's a different feeling, and I'm not saying everybody's lying, but it's used so much that people overlook it when you're like I'm anxious, especially when you're Hispanic or Mexican. If you say you're anxious, mom don't give a fuck. Like get over that shit. So that's what that song was over. And I think it's my biggest song because a lot of people that were going through that, and I dropped that September, I think, of 2020. Great time, honestly. Great time for me to drop it. Great marketing strategy. And I didn't do it because of that. I just dropped it because I felt like that's what I felt. And I was like, this is a great song. And I recorded that in Austin with my boy Righteous. Shout out Miz. And he killed the mix. And it was great. And it sounded fantastic. And I was like, people are going to like this because it's real. It's from the heart. And then after it surpassed 100,000 streams, I had already had like more than, I don't know, 30, 40 messages. Like I had a lot of messages, but these like 30 to 40 messages were direct messages of people telling me like a little, I wouldn't say testimony, but they were telling me
Their
like a little
experience with anxiety.
Yeah, and they were like, man, this song helped me. Like, thank you for this song. They didn't even have to go in depth. They were just like, hey, man, like I really related to the song and just I really like it. And that to me was enough to be like, damn, I helped somebody because music helps me in that same way. When I feel lonely, when I feel this, that, just knowing that I can resonate with something a little bit helps me, you know?
So that's a great point that you're bringing up because I think a lot of people that are still listening now, and we're deep into the podcast, and it's just now getting, truly good. And we're not talking about dogs, and we're not talking about other bullshit, which is good to talk about. Needs to be said. But how would you describe anxiety coming from your human experience? How would you describe what it feels like?
I would say you can't generalize anxiety because...
But it seems like in this current state, anxiety is kind of a vague term, right?
Yes, and I think that's why it's so misunderstood because people will talk about anxiety and they're like, I have anxiety. And it's just like this overall, I think anxiety now
nervousness,
just seem like, I think that's how people categorize it. Yeah.
Fearful, kind of. How would you describe it?
Anxiety,
to you,
like I said, it's a little different. Like social anxiety is a different, but same symptoms. I think like you feel those actual, I would say it's very close to feeling nervous. Mm-hmm. Like you feel nervous. You feel kind of like, your heart rate increases, your breaths increase. But I feel like there's a sense of, you feel like you're kind of out of body a little bit. You feel like you're out of touch with reality. And I think the biggest part of feeling anxious is that you feel like you lose control. That's one of the biggest things. When you're nervous, you're still in control. You're still in your right mindset, but your body is having physical changes to it that you can't really adapt to quickly. And that's what makes you nervous. That's what I think. But when you're anxious, you just cannot control it. You know what I'm saying? So I guess nervousness can lead you, like the way I'm putting it, it can lead you to being anxious. Because some people do it like that. Like they'll get so nervous, they're just like, it's so fucking prolonged that they're like, damn, now is this anxiety? Like, are you anxious? And from my experiences, like I'll have like that normal like social anxiety, but I've had like some like one or two like a panic attack type in my life, and it feels fucking awful. And it just feels like you're not in control. That's the best way that I could put it. I wasn't in control. I just felt like helpless. I felt like I couldn't breathe. It just, I feel like when you know, you know.
Do you think that comes from just being a person? Like every single person is going to feel this way? And where do you think that anxiety stems from? Like happiness, right? It stems from something, right? It's either an action that you take, it's different things, but going back to anxiety, where do you think that it stems from? And why does it happen? Because everything that we do and feel is for a reason, right? Mm-hmm. So where does it stem from and why?
It's a good question. Where does anxiety stem from? Because I've never really...
When did you, in your life, when did you really feel, when did you understand what anxiety was and knew when it was happening?
I guess because I never really looked up like a definition. It was just kind of context clues of like people talking about this was their experience with anxiety, this, that, and I think it was, right now, I guess, actually thinking about it, how trying to define anxiety is like you feel like you're not in control of it. It's kind of like when you feel mad, like you're not really in control of it. So you're angry at the time. It's just you're losing control. That's what anger really is if you like break it down.
Sure.
But I feel like it's kind of the same way with anxiety. Where it stems from, maybe a place of just like not knowing,
let me give you my thoughts on where I think it stems from. I think I'm going to start at the end result, and I'm going to give you kind of a regression of how you get to that point. I think that anxiety is an indicator that something is going wrong in your life or in your mindset. And again, it makes you feel so bad that you have to seek something to change that, because it's a horrible feeling, right? It's pain. If there's pain, that's why we have pain sensors, right? Because it's damaging. If you put your hand on a hot stove, what's going to happen?
Burn yourself.
You're going to burn yourself. What happens if you leave it there longer? Let's say you didn't have pain. If you left it there with no pain, what would happen to your hand?
It's on fire.
It's on fire. It's gone. So pain is necessary to move forward. So if you have the pain, it's immediate. You feel the pain. It goes directly to your brain. You move the hand. You save your hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anxiety is pain. And if you're living your life of constant struggle, you're constantly in the studio, you're not working out, you're not interacting with people. Again, we're social people. We require some sort of movement. We require love. We require being social, right? Like I just mentioned, but that's just an indicator that something is wrong and something needs to change. Now, the way that our culture is, it's about moving forward, wake up in the morning, go to work, pay rent, do da, 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 da. And that amounts into pain. Pain is then the sensory part of that is anxiety. That's get your hand off the stove. Change something, right? If you're not eating right, your microbiome is another. It's been shown that the microbiome, the gut, is another brain. We have two brains. We have the gut and we have the brain. Now, there's different things that are stored. It's again, this is current science, right? They're saying that information can also be stored in different parts of your body. Your whole body is your mind. Your mind and body are the same thing. But again, going back to anxiety, let's think of a scenario, right? Let's say it's someone that's going to college, right? They want to be a doctor. The most stressful fucking thing you can do, right? It takes so long to get there, so much studying. It's prestigious. You got to do all this stuff, right? What is that going to cause? That's going to cause anxiety. Depression. Why? Depression. It's all in the same bubble. Different names. They're slightly different, but they are different, right? So what are you supposed to do? Well, how about don't take every single hour. Take the required hours. Set some time to eat right. That's number one, because if your body's not functioning, your mind's not functioning, right? Mm-hmm. And work out. Do something. You have to move. That has been the staple of being a human throughout history. We've always been in motion. We've never stayed still. That's why there's humans on every single continent on the world, because we keep moving. Now, this way of living that we have now has only been around for 100 years, maybe 200 years. Let's push it even more, 300. The United States isn't even 300 years, okay? So it's very new. It's 3-4 generations back. That's nothing, maybe 5. But I think that's what anxiety is. It's a biomarker. It's an indicator that something needs to change, okay? Now, if you have social anxiety, why is that? It's maybe because you've secluded yourself and you haven't had that practice, or you haven't had that community around you that we've always had. Mm-hmm. And that's something personal that I've gone through. And just for anyone listening that is having social anxiety, the way that I got rid of it is to get in uncomfortable situations and go through that struggle, because struggle and having something to overcome is the only way to get better in anything. And again, you're listening to this now. Anything you've ever done, anything you've accomplished, not done, anything you've ever accomplished has never been easy. And something you're good at you were never good at to begin with. You had to overcome those challenges to grow. So that's what I think anxiety is. It's nothing to fear. It's something to notice and something to take action to get rid of. It's not something you have to live with. It's not a disease. It's simply an indicator. But that's only my opinion. And like I said, I think of things in an evolutionary and biological way. And that makes the most sense to me. If again, anyone is going through this, you can definitely, as impossible as it may seem now, in 5 years, if you continue to challenge yourself and seek certain ways to overcome that, and put your hand on the fire for just a second to feel the pain, you're going to move away quickly and become better.
Yeah, I think what you said, you hit on the head with exactly with I don't know if you remember that show in Austin when I did X, and I got people to like pull out their flashlights and do this. Anyway, that's what I said at the end, where I was like, people that do deal with anxiety, like there's steps that you can take to get rid of it, and I feel like I try to do it now, but back when I wrote that song, I actively, not immediately after like I wrote the song, even after I dropped it, but like sometime after months, even maybe even years after, you take like these small compound steps that help you towards doing that. And it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to, a lot of people like when they're smoking or something, they just cut it cold turkey. That's it. Like stop. And yeah, that works for some people, but it might not work for you, and it might actually increase the amount of anxiety that you have. So
Right.
I think those small steps, we'll take social anxiety, for example. It doesn't have to be something as big as like going out and speaking to a crowd, or like going to a party and like speaking to people. It could be something small. Like I feel like when I was doing it, I wouldn't say this made me anxious, but it made me nervous. But it was like a kind of like a small step towards growth of like not feeling so anxious in a social setting. Was like going live on Instagram. Like to me, that's socializing. That's very much socializing, even though you're not obviously directly talking to people. People are still, the thought of being anxious in a social setting is because a lot of the times you're thinking what can go wrong, and that's based off of what are people thinking about me in the present situation. It's the same thing when you're on like social media on a live. You're kind of thinking like you're not just talking, and if you are, you're not that present, I guess, because I feel like when I go live or something, I'm thinking, what are the people that are listening right now, what are they thinking?
Sure.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like a smaller way of not having to actually engage with somebody, which sometimes you can even get more anxious doing that shit. But to me, that was like a small step. It was a small step, just like I try to do it now too, because like I said, I've kind of been feeling like this rising, I don't know, it's been like coming back a little bit, but like when I go to the chiropractor, that's kind of where I've been going now for some treatment. I see somebody just kind of sitting beside me, and I'll spark a conversation just to talk. There's some people that don't want to talk. There's some people that they just won't, and I won't push them. But it's like I'll spark some kind of conversation just so I can get like that human interaction, which sounds kind of sad. I don't know, but I don't I don't know. I'm just not one of those people that hang around a lot of people, and it doesn't bother me, but I know it has its consequences, if you want to call it that. So I don't know. I feel like a lot of artists too. A lot of artists isolate themselves, and they get this same kind of anxiety, and that's why there's a lot of artists that like start fucking doing drugs and stuff, and then they'll overdose, and all that stems from, like you said, not putting your hand on the burner and feeling the pain, and actually being like, you know what, this is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? People just try to find like those kind of quick solutions or something.
Right.
They're treating just like the whole fucking healthcare. They're treating the symptoms. They're never treating the cause.
That's right. That's right. I think a question that I think could help, and again, depends on your answer. A question that I think would help people in a similar situation. You mentioned that it's not healthy to glamorize. I'm only in the studio. All I do is the studio. I sleep in the studio. I eat in the studio, which sometimes you do, right? But what's some of the things that you do to cope with that and help that equilibrium of being dedicated to your craft, but also staying sane? What do you personally do to de-stress and kind of recalibrate?
I just do shit that makes me feel good outside of music. Like whatever you naturally gravitate towards, do it. It could be something fucking weird. Like,
What do you do?
I play Call of Duty. I'll play Call of Duty. Sometimes I'll hang out with friends. I'll very seldom actually. You know what? I won't even count it. Nah, sometimes I hang out with friends, but most of the time I'm doing that. Or sometimes I like to clean, like cleaning or like cleaning my car. It makes me feel good. You know,
Right.
that's kind of like one of those stupid things I said. That's like, you know, if you ask somebody, what do you like to do? They're like, oh, well, I like to do this, that. I like to go to the movies. I feel like that kind of takes me out of this reality,
Right,
this
right,
routine that I have. Not just the routine of physically going to the movies, but this
A
routine
mental
of
vacation.
oh my, it takes me like, it kind of reprograms me in a way, you know? And then like once I get back to my life, I'm like, damn, this kind of sucks. But at least I had this kind of experience, you know what I mean? And I'm kidding when I say it sucks. Sometimes I do think that, but I also realize that it's very important about how you talk to yourself, because all that joking shit, there's a meaning behind it, and your mind really doesn't know the difference if you keep conditioning yourself to think that way, because what you condition yourself to think, you're gonna fucking think that. And I feel like that's an overly stated thing, but it's understood. It's not, it's misunderstood.
Right.
People just don't really take that in. Like, they say it all the time, but they don't really apply it, you know, because they still make these little fucking jokes about, you know, my life sucks or this, that, whatever. Sometimes I have relationships with those kind of people, and people don't really find anything faulty with it until you start gravitating towards like a more positive mindset, or reading like books or this, that, whatever. And then you're like, that's not fucking healthy, you know? And then you kind of have to make this choice, I feel like, which can sometimes be like a tough choice of like, you know, you talk to that friend and you're like, hey, like, this isn't fun anymore. Or like, you have to kind of get rid of those people in a way.
Do you think those people actually understand what they're doing, or they're just kind of living day by day, and it just becomes normal? Maybe, oh yeah, my life sucks. Oh, I got to work again. Ooh, I got to do this. I got to do that. Right? It becomes normal. You no longer see the fault in what you're doing. Right? And I think a lot of people don't do that, because when you speak to them and you kind of become conscious of what you're doing day by day, and that's how you get better. Again, you have to recognize the problem to fix the problem. When did you personally understand that, and how did that happen?
Let me gather my thoughts.
Again, folks,
think-
it's 2:30 a.m. So
I think, honestly, I would say probably about 8 to 10 months ago, I kind of started realizing it. And it was really just because, like, I don't know, I started reading a little bit, just like anything. Right now,
so you're saying you have to seek
for sure.
positive.
If you don't,
Yeah.
it's just like anything. The first thing in bettering yourself in anything is accepting.
Accepting, yeah.
You have to accept that this isn't very good. It
Right.
doesn't make me feel good. It's just, I do it like it's a routine.
It's a short hit.
Yeah, it's like
Like you
vaping.
might, yeah, exactly. So you put somebody down by saying just a joke. Probably you mean no harm at all. It's something that you've always done since school. You've always heard it. That's probably where you learned it, because you didn't come to kindergarten saying that shit, right? You're
Right.
probably friends with everybody. You thought everybody was your friend, right? As time progresses and things get complicated, that's kind of how we learn, and we tend for some reason to gravitate towards negativity, and that might stem from challenging and getting better, right? Because they keep saying stop bullying, stop this, and then there's a different school of thought now, currently, that bullying might be a good thing, right? Because it kind of betters you. Again, it's a slippery slope to go down, right? Because we definitely want everyone to respect each other, don't harm each other, and stuff like that. But some of the greatest people that have ever lived always go through that kind of life. It's always, oh, I was beat up, I was abused, and they tend to be the greatest people ever. So
Builds character.
it builds character. Again, don't get me wrong. I want people to be safe, happy, but again, you look at the greatest people, they have not had the best life. They have not had the most comfortable life. And that seems to be a story told again and again, right?
Yeah, but
Throughout history.
yeah, it's just like a trial and error thing. I think like there is these points in your life where, you know, you can be negative, you could this, that, and then, I mean, later in life, I feel like you'll realize like that's not helping me, or it doesn't bring anything good. And like
Right.
the more you get into like the manifestation part of life, you realize like it's not normal. And like you were saying, yeah, I sought help by reading books and like kind of realizing that's not fucking normal, nor is it helping me. And like, you know, I kind of like took a step back and I thought, and this is a very important thing with like just finding out a lot of shit about yourself is, how does this make me feel? And it's a very natural instinct. It's not a hard question to ask. It is, but it's a hard pill to swallow. But it's not a hard question to ask of, how does this make me feel? And I thought about it, like, when I have this conversation with this friend where we're always just fucking around and we're talking about, like, yeah, fuck, my life sucks. Hey, how's work, man? Ah, that shit fucking sucks. I don't ever want to do that. I'm like, how does that make me feel? That makes me feel bad. I feel bad that I feel like that about my job, because then I go to my job or I live my life and I'm like, my job does fucking suck, or I do this, that, I'm not looking at the glass half full. I'm always looking at it half empty. And it takes a toll on my life, because even like when I make music and stuff, and I'm just like, my music sucks.
I think that's a good thing. You have to think that to be great, you have to be your biggest critic. If you thought your music was great from the jump, guess what? You would have never improved. You would have kept that same bullshit and you wouldn't evolve. That's how you evolve. You have to continue to critique yourself. You have to be hard on yourself. You have to.
I do agree, but I disagree that you always have to, because you don't always
No.
have
Most
to.
definitely. Don't get me wrong. It's kind of like the body positivity, right? You have to love who you are to continue, because if you hate yourself, you're not going to do anything, right? It's a balance you have to keep. But for the most part, again, it's not 100%. Anything I say is never 100%, because the world is never in absolutes. We don't know. Everything is a balance, right? And that's going to be for you listening, that's going to continue to listen. A lot of the things that I mentioned are going to be along the lines of balance, right? So when I say things, it's never 100%. There's always the outliers, right? So when I say things like that, I mean, for that specific reason. To improve, you have to criticize yourself. Not always. You have to accept things and love yourself too. But for the majority, you do have to criticize yourself, because again, you have to challenge yourself to get better. Again, that's the main point.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to the music, you say you cope with anxiety and maybe being in solitude, because making this kind of career kind of forces you into that bubble of solitude, right? Because you can't make shit by having fun. You have to be in your own head and explore your mind to create great things, right? What would you say is your connection to making music? Why do you do that? If you weren't going to get paid, if there was never going to be a guarantee of success, of the success that you think that you deserve and that will eventually happen, why would you still do it, and why would you do it?
Yeah, because I do it now and I don't really get fucking paid. But
Right, but it's within the context of,
for sure,
I'm gonna make it.
for sure,
Whatever
yeah,
making it to you is.
100%. I'm gonna make it. But there's several parts to it. I think.
1 second before you move on, I need you to speak to your future self right now about where you are now and where you're gonna be.
What you mean by that?
You said you mumbled.
Mm-hmm.
I am gonna make it.
I am.
Speak to your future self right now, so when you look back at this, you're talking to him.
It's kind of weird to think about, but the steps that I'm putting in right now, the things that I'm doing right now, when I listen to this in the future, man, I just want you to know that we're fucking glad that you did that. We're glad that you sacrificed a bunch of those days to like do different things that you would much rather do, to get you to this place that you're at right now, because you're fucking killing it. And I went, maybe you ain't make it yet, but you're a lot closer. You're a little closer than you were at the making of this episode. And man, I'm just fucking proud of how far you've come. I wish I could have done one a year ago, 2 years ago when I first started. I wish I could have said the same thing. That, man, I'm proud of you, because I'm proud of me right now, which is crazy, because it's something that I hadn't been able to say to myself for a while, because it was just like, fuck, I'm not really doing nothing. But now kind of goes back with that self-love, positive talk type thing. I'm proud of myself. And so, like, my future self, I'm proud of you, my boy.
All right, getting back to the question. Explain your connection, your love, and your passion that you have with your music.
Oh, I think you had asked me, like, would I still do it? Why?
Sure.
Whatever.
Would you do it for free?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's something that if I'm like, how does this make me feel? It makes me feel good. People do shit that they like for free. People go play basketball with a a lot higher risk of physical injury to themselves. Why? Because they like it with no fucking reward.
Good point.
Why do you go play? You like it when you hit that shot. How's it make you feel? Your dopamine's like, damn, bro, do that bullshit again. Shoot, you make it again. I do the same thing when I make a good song. I'm just like, fuck, this is good, and then it gets reinforced once I record it and mix a little bit. I'm like, yeah, this sounds good. And then I get it really mixed and mastered by engineer. I'm like, this sounds fucking great. And that's just like a little more dopamine, a little more. And
So
then
you go from a layup, 2-pointer, 3-pointer, half court shot to one of those rare other end of the court LeBron type of throws.
yeah,
Swish.
pretty much. And then the last one is like the Michael Jordan in the what's it
Space
called?
Jam.
Space Jam.
The
Don't-
Monstars on your legs
All those-
doesn't
tho-
fucking matter.
Those are the
You're
haters.
gonna keep stretching. The
those
haters.
Those are the people that are like, bro, what are you
Monstars.
doing? And then the dunk is just when it hits people's ears. And when I hear people tell me, that's people just telling me that they like it.
Wrong button. That was supposed to be applause. Sorry, folks. This is the first episode. We're gonna get this right. But yeah,
Anyway,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, that's I would do it for free because it makes me feel good. I remember we were in nursing school one time, and they asked us that. They were like, "Who in here would work for free?"
Mm.
I didn't even look around. I just thought to myself, "Fuck no, never in my life," because I don't really enjoy it. I'm not saying that I hate it, but I don't enjoy it. Like music, I enjoy. And there was one person that raised her hand, and she was like, "I would." And I was like, this was me back in the day.
Stop the cap.
I was like, shut the fuck up. But she was a very nice person,
Right.
and I knew she would because she liked it, and that's something she liked, and that's absurd to a lot of people, but not to me. Now, back then, I was like, the fuck, you're lying. But anyway, yeah, I would do it for free. And another big part of why I do it, besides it making me feel good, is just the thought of, not even the thought, the actual affirmation from people of like, hey, this has helped me before, this, that. I want that feeling over and over again, not for myself, but just for like other people too. And it's not, even if it's not something that they're going through, just if somebody's feeling any kind of like sadness, any kind of anything, like what makes a lot of people feel better? Just putting on a song, just like, that right there, like that. I call it's sonic therapy. It doesn't have to be like a certain frequency like that. It could just be music.
Sure.
That to me is therapy. And if I can be that for somebody for as long as my song is 2 minutes and 20 seconds, 2 minutes 40 seconds, 1 minute 50 seconds, that makes me feel good.
And the beautiful thing about music is it doesn't expire. If anything, it's like wine.
Timeless.
It's like wine. We're listening to music from the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s. It only gets better. It only gets better. I mean, what about that song, Running Up That Hill?
Oh, my gosh.
When was that, the 80s?
I don't care.
You know what?
That song's so fucking good.
I have my laptop here to kind of fact check myself. We haven't had to fact check anything yet. I'm gonna find that out for you. Hell, just so we're accurate with our information, I said the 80s.
Sounds right.
We're gonna put Running Up That Hill.
Hey, she's making a fucking
Yep.
bag.
1985
Damn.
by EMI Records.
85. What is that? 80, 90, 05, 15, 40 minus 3 would be 37. 37 years.
Shout out Kate Bush.
So that would be like if I dropped a song now and people listen to it in, let's see, 37, it'd be 30, 52, 59, 2059. And they were like, I like pineapples on my pizza.
she's currently 64. Same age I think as Madonna, actually. Madonna. Let's see. Let's see. Sorry, folks. I know we had a good flow going, but I just had to find it. Yep, same age as Madonna.
Dang.
But I mean, it's a great song. It's timeless. Music is timeless if it comes from a great place of effort and emotion.
Yeah. So that's it. I feel like a lot of people. It's like I said, in that little group chat we had. If you do things with pure intentions, anything that you might need, that you might desire, will follow.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. It might be fucking years before it does, but it will. If it's money and you really enjoy it, if it doesn't, it might not automatically. You might have to. It's kind of like the manifesting thing. You have to do these small steps to make it happen, but it'll happen just because, I don't know, just divine intervention the way it works.
Right. So again, I have to reiterate that we're at about 3 a.m. in the morning. I know this conversation may have took some lefts, took some rights, but we're still moving forward. We're about an hour and 10 minutes into this, and I just want to focus on the future of J.Saenz, your music, and any other ventures that you might have. What can we expect to what can we expect to see moving forward with your music? Maybe a side venture, maybe shows coming up, maybe videos, anything like that, and anything that's coming up in the near future. And again, the date right now is November 5th, 2022.
I would say as far as music, I constantly try to drop. I don't try to drop. I do drop something better than I previously did, and I'm going to continue to do that, and I'm going to continue to feed the creativity that people expect from me. And just really things that I enjoy. Maybe it's not what somebody expects from me, but it's something that I enjoy. I think people will enjoy as well. As far as shows, I don't have really any shows lined up right now. I think hopefully I might have one. I applied to this one called the Carne Asada Fest, and I got to perform like a featured set last year.
Where is that?
That's in Dallas.
Dallas?
Here in Dallas.
Oh, yeah, folks, I forgot to mention, we are in mid-cities. That's Dallas-Fort Worth area. And, yeah, I've been here for about a year. And, potentially J.Saenz could be up here too.
Yeah.
So if you're in the area and you're listening to this, we can definitely do some sort of collaboration, whether it's music, media, and anything in between. So, sorry, you can continue.
Yeah, so it was here in Dallas last year. It'll continue to be in Dallas. I forgot where the place is. Oh, it's the Southside Ballroom.
Okay.
That's where Jid and Smino finna perform February. I'm finna go see him. But anyway, that's where it was, and it was cool. There was so many people. There was like some bigger artists there, and I got to do a featured set with this artist name. I think she changed her name now, but her artist name was Texas Cake at the time. She's incredible artist.
Texas Cake. I love
creative.
that name. If you changed it, change it back.
Very creative. Just person. Like some of the music that she had performed, I hadn't heard before, and I was like, "Fuck, she's good. She's very good." But anyway, they had like an application thing probably like 2 months ago or so where you could apply to perform, and I'm really just like, I mean, I'm sure I'll have like smaller shows, along the way, but that'll be like one that happens within the next few months, hopefully, and it'll be big. And if you're in Dallas and I do get picked, I would love for everybody to come out. I'm really just going to try to show more face in 2023 as far as like shows and stuff, like actually reach out to people, because all the shows that I did this year, people reached out to me, and I'm going to try to actually, go out of my way to try to get these shows, because that there's nothing like face-to-face connections with people. Like social media, yeah, it's cool. It'll work to a certain extent, but that face-to-face, and I feel like that personality, people click with personality, especially if you have, and I would say I have I wouldn't say a good personality, because I don't want to sound like, but I have a welcoming personality. Sure. To where it's like, if somebody, I don't know, if somebody wants to talk, if somebody this, that, like I'm comfortable talking to them, and we're all people just Sure. wanting to communicate. But anyway, I would like to do more shows in the future, and I think another big thing is, like you said, I want to get to a city. I want to be established in a city, and I think maybe Dallas is that.
Is the next step. It may not be the
right,
last step,
right,
but
right,
it is
right,
a step
sure.
in the more positive direction that will benefit your career in the long run.
100%.
Piggybacking off what you just said about connections and moving to a city that might offer that, what kind of connections do you think you'd like? What if you could make it happen, what kind of collaborations would you love to have?
Collaborations with.
Tell me some local, not yet mainstream artists that you'd like to collab with, and some mainstream artists that you like to collab with.
Local. I would say
Maybe not.
There's a couple that I could think of. There's one artist here.
Not in Texas. I mean not mainstream yet. Not to the Drake. Not to the Drake.
Local.
No.
And not local.
No. Yeah. What I meant to say was maybe people that don't have the Drake type of status, or even the Post Malone. I guess they're in the same status, but some people that you have worked with, the people in your circle now, anyone that you've heard of that is kind of in the same realm that you are now, as far as notoriety and I guess you would say streaming, if you can put that in a quantitative form.
Man, I feel like
maybe something. Maybe
that's a hard question, because like, you know, the streams thing to like how much like connections people have within a city, they kind of fucking balance out.
Right, which is a hard question. I had a hard time asking that question.
No, for sure. But I mean, there's some people that I've collaborated with that I could see like going very far.
Sure. Who would you like to collab with again that you've collabed with? Who comes to mind?
Alex Bay.
Alex Bay?
She's crazy, yes.
Where's she from?
Alex Bay. Damn. I don't even know. Alex, where are you from? I think she's from, I don't want to say Atlanta. She's from another state,
Would she be online?
Yes, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
ALYX, I'm sorry.
ALYX. BAY?
BAYE.
I mean, not BAE.
BAYE.
BAYE. Okay.
Find her?
Not yet.
Look her up on my friend's thing. ALYX. Did I say that?
ALYX?
Yeah.
It looks like there's Baltimore.
That sounds right.
22 years old?
That sounds right.
I remember the summer my brother and I spent with my mom.
Turn it a little bit.
Huh?
Bro, what are you looking on?
I don't know. Just
why did you get on Instagram? Anyway, I think
no.
that's
I mean,
her.
this is DuckDuckGo.
Oh, gotcha. Anyway, I think that's her. Yeah, she's an incredible artist. Got a.
It seems like they're all
voice.
saying the same thing. Is this her right here?
Yeah, that looks like her.
We're gonna play a little bit of her music.
Hold on, play. Damn, what's that one song called?
We're gonna play Sunflower. I'd love to hear this one.
Play Ethereal. Is it on there?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. This song is so fucking good. I feel like you're gonna like this song a lot.
Alex Bay, what's up?
And this is one of those artists that's just like, damn, bro, people aren't caught up to her yet.
This might not be the song. It says trailer video. It might just be the instrumental.
Sounds like the trailer video.
Well, we're just giving a teaser here now. That was a trailer video. But I'm going to put the video up of what that trailer video was on screen right now. But yeah, look it up. That's ALYX.
Just because you bought a gimbal doesn't.
Okay, that was a commercial.
And I think she came up to my head because she's kind of on the song that I just dropped.
ALYX BAYE on YouTube, and I'm guessing every other platform too.
Mm-hmm.
And Ethereal is the song that we want to listen to, which you just heard. But yeah, going back to you.
Ethereal. What the hell did I say?
It's late. Don't even worry about it. What? Anything else? We're kind of wrapping up now. We're coming up on a minute and 20.
You mean an hour 20? Yeah, it is late.
Did I say a minute?
Yeah,
it's very late.
There's a bunch of artists too. I don't, I hope if somebody doesn't listen, they're like, what the fuck? Why didn't you say me? I know so many incredible artists that I've worked with that I would like to work with again. She came up to mind because she had some vocals on my recent song, and she's just extremely talented. But I mean, there's too many artists for me to even name. I can't even fucking think right now.
Me neither.
So-
Me neither. Yeah, we're gonna finish this off. So lastly, to anyone still tuned in now, how do they get a hold of J.Saenz? What website do they go to? What social medias do you have? Are you offering merch? Tell the people, please.
Yeah.
So what do you have a website?
Yes, it is just jsaenzmusic.com. No dot at the
So
beginning.
how do you spell that?
JSAENZ and then music.com.
.com. And what's on there?
I have like kind of mostly portrayed for my like it's set up for my merch. You know, I have some t-shirts still available. But you know, if you scroll down, there's like kind of like some, I would say, some testimonials of people that have heard my music and how it helped them. It's got links to my stuff as well. So you could, I mean, if you go there, you could find everything of me. You could find links to the Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. There's even some videos on there. Yeah, that's for the most part. But like more of a direct contact. I'm really active on Instagram, and my Instagram handle is _J.Saenz SAENZ. And I think it's the same on TikTok. And then, I mean, that's kind of what I'm most active on Facebook. It's just like my mom and her friends liking my stuff, so it's just my regular name. But you don't need to know my whole name. But yeah, on that, and then on every platform where you can listen to music.
What about Twitter?
Twitter, I'm not on there that much. I feel like
But
Twitter's,
I think
Twitter's strong. Twitter's strong.
Twitter's getting strong now.
Yeah,
Some
but-
people might disagree at the time of this recording because Elon Musk just acquired Twitter for, if I'm not mistaken, either 40 billion or 60 billion, which is absurd. that's too much for that website. But you know, I think he sees something that we aren't seeing. But
Twitter's gonna come back.
It's definitely gonna come back. But so what's your Twitter?
Damn, I don't know. Like J_Saenz.
We'll figure it out, and we're gonna put it right now. There you go.
Or just
It's fine. We'll do the research.
anyway, and then on all platforms like Spotify, Apple, all that, it's just J.Saenz, and that's what I go by on everything. J.Saenz SAENZ.
And they can just message you at any time. Just send you a personal email, not an email, a personal message,
Yeah, for sure.
direct message.
Yeah.
Okay. If you don't mind, I know you're tired. I'm tired. We appreciate you for sticking around for so long. Again, we said it about 10 times now. We're definitely tired. Definitely not the energy that we may have hoped for, but we're going to do this again very, very soon. And I'd love to finish off this podcast with your greatest and latest hit single. And if you'd like to perform, do so. If not, let's just vibe out.
Damn, I do want to perform. That's Alex Bay right there.
It's so nice to spend time with you, hit you early, just so we can go take pictures. Damn, I'm stuck on you, no sticker, liquor coursing through my veins now. A lot on my mind, but it's you that's on my brain now. And I see the sun, I see the stars, I see the moon. I think they all so beautiful, but none of them compare to you. I see the future, me and you, and it's all love that's in my view. You my October, my little boo. If you my bunny, I'm your hue. If you my honey, I'm your poo. Get you the brown sugar, oat milk, check and espresso. Cause coffee seems to be your love language. She said, I guess so. It ain't no guessing for me, cause I know you. And when the cloud fogs up your days, I will console you. And when you down, just lay your head down on my shoulder. You can stay till we older. You my rock, you my boulder. We can weather the storm, it don't matter if it gets colder now. Hit my line, I promise I'll be around, yeah.
Cause you are the one I see, the one I need beside me. No need to remind me that this is forever, wherever I met you find me.
Is this Alex Bay?
That's Jimmy Crouton.
And I'm so confident. Don't matter what's on my plate, I'll make time for this. You and me, that's a compliment. You make me wanna do bad things, but it's worth paying the consequence. Take you out this continent. Body just You my favorite condiment. You stay here, tolerate me. Baby, you flexible, feeling like Play-Doh. You mine because I say so. Hit out the park, cause they couldn't say go. We got the sauce. We got it all. I got it locked, I cannot let it go loose. You my little pumpkin, man, you my little boo.
Cause you are the one I see, the one I know so beautiful. This is forever, wherever I met you, find me. I know you're so beautiful.
J.Saenz, My October, out now, all streaming platforms. J.Saenz, thank you so much for taking the time to be here on my the very first Fourth Dimension podcast. Can't wait to have you back.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me. I wish you much success. I feel like I don't really have to wish you luck because you're very good at this kind of thing. You're good at what you do. At what you do, you're very welcoming as well. And I feel like any person that you have on here is gonna be very lucky to have this kind of experience. So, just sending love and positivity your way, man.
Much appreciated.